What's your name, organization, and position?
My name is Ingalls, and I am Development Director for the Family Sunshine Center.
Could you give a short description and talk about your different type of programs?
Sure. Our mission is centered around the issues of violence, domestic violence, sexual assault, family violence, and elder abuse. So we're a multi-program mission that address those issues. We offer a 24-hour crisis hotline, and we offer shelter, emergency shelter, transitional housing. We have a counseling center. We also have a vibrant volunteer program where we have around 14,000 volunteer hours every year, and it saves us about $250,000 annually. We also see, as far as the kinds of numbers of people we hear from over 2,000 people in the crisis hotline each year. And we see about an average of 400 women and children in shelter and about that same number in counseling each year. So we stay very busy.
Where does most of your funding come from?
Our budget hovers around $2.2 to $2.4 million. 52% of that funding comes from government resources. The rest of it comes from corporate grants, civic grants, religious grants, and individual giving from foundation. So we work from every angle to make the puzzle come together.
How has your organization helped the community?
We help the community probably more significantly than people realize. We know that at least 1 in 4 families report domestic violence. 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted. For every mother who is abused, we know between 60 and 70% of those children will also be abused. So as we are out there having crisis intervention and also prevention education, which is another department I did not discuss, we are preventing the incidents, we are helping people who are caught in it, and most importantly, we're saving lives and making lives better.
What are the requirements to be a part of the program?
To be a client, they have a risk assessment that they go through. Anyone who has been abused by a friend, a family member, can be a client in our counseling center, and we will help them. The shelter has a risk assessment that tells that client whether or not they're in high risk danger of being hurt again or killed. And between that assessment and the client, they can make a decision as to whether or not they want to come in.
Could you talk about the average process that one goes through while being helped by a Family Sunshine Center?
Well, the process is more on the shoulders of the client. If they call the crisis hotline, there's several things we can do. We can just listen. They may just need to talk through some things. We can send them a safety pack, which they can do a self-assessment of their risk, and it gives ways that they can be safe and make a plan for if they need to exit. If they come to counseling, we can see them weekly. Our sessions are about an hour. There's no cost to it. And again, that's their choice. If they need to go to court for a restraining order or a divorce or anything else that helps with their safety, we have advocacy for that. The shelter, that's probably the process that you're probably referring to the most. If someone's coming into shelter, we pick them up from an undisclosed location, and we take them to our shelter, which is at an undisclosed location. And then when they come in there, just like if they were coming into counseling, we do an intake, an assessment of where they are with the situation. And they can stay there while they're in shelter. They have everything they need. They have counseling, social worker to coordinate community resources. We help them with trying to find job placement, child care. We get their children back in school. Of course, in shelter, they're provided with food and clothing in their own room. So that's sort of the process that they go through to get into the shelter. The other services, all you have to do is call, make an appointment, or walk in.
How do you help them to get back onto their feet, becoming self-sufficient?
Well, a lot of times, let me say this first. Most people who are victims of domestic violence go back to that partner at least 7 times before they finally separate from the situation or they're murdered. We try to educate them and show them options that they have to become independent from that situation. They go back a lot of times because of financial reasons, because they want the children to be with their father. A lot of times the reason they won't leave is because they know at the time of departure they're at the highest risk for themselves and their children being killed. If we are able to get them, we try to reinforce their capabilities, their skills, their attributes. And then we're here, again, like I mentioned earlier, to help them find jobs, to make sure their children are still in school. Some women just need some help with learning how to do financial management in their home. We can help with that if they want to go back to school, or a support system for that as well. There are a lot of ways we help, and the more you understand the cycle of domestic violence, the more you understand why those things are so important.